And here's the hard truth. Many opportunities have expiration dates. Not because God stops opening doors, but because circumstances change. People move, jobs get filled, children grow up, our health changes, life changes. Sometimes the opportunity doesn't disappear, it simply becomes different. Welcome to the Bounce Back Black Woman podcast. I'm Dell, coach, author, mom, and your sister along this journey of healing, growth, resilience, and living more intentionally. As Black women, we know all too well that life can break our hearts in more ways than one. But here in this space, we heal, grow, rebuild, and bounce back together. Because it's not just you. It's not just me. It's us. Hey there, my friend, and welcome back to Bounce Back Black Woman. Over the past several episodes, you already know that we've explored the heart of my soon-to-be-released book, Ruthless Intentionality. And we talked about the tenets of the book: awareness, connection, compassion, courage, and resilience. Not as abstract ideas, but as practical ways to navigate life's hardest seasons and live a life that you can love. But understanding those principles is only the beginning. And the real question is, what's keeping us from actually living them? One of the biggest obstacles that I've seen in my own life, in coaching, and in conversations with so many women is waiting. Waiting until we feel ready. Waiting until we're less afraid. Waiting until the kids are older. Waiting until the grief is completely gone. Waiting until the money is better. Waiting until we know exactly what the outcome will be. We convince ourselves that we're being responsible. But sometimes we're really just being scared. Now, I want to be clear. There are seasons and times when waiting is wise. Waiting on God's timing is very different from delaying things because fear has convinced us that we'll never be ready. And today we're talking about that kind of waiting. Because while we're busy waiting for the perfect moment, life keeps on moving. Hopefully. You see, waiting quietly steals opportunities. Most opportunities don't arrive wearing a flashing neon sign. Often they look like uncomfortable conversations, or new jobs, or business ideas, or friendships, or simply saying yes to something that you've never done before, ever. And here's the hard truth. Many opportunities have expiration dates. Not because God stops opening doors, but because circumstances change. People move, jobs get filled, children grow up, our health changes, life changes. Sometimes the opportunity doesn't disappear, it simply becomes different. The second is that waiting slowly erodes your confidence. And this one surprises a lot of people because we think that confidence comes before we take action. But truthfully, most confidence actually comes after we take action. Every single time that you avoid making a decision because you're afraid, your brain quietly learns she doesn't trust herself. But every small, courageous step sends a different message to your brain. And that message is, maybe I can do hard things after all. You see, confidence isn't built by thinking. Confidence is built by doing. Number 3, waiting gives fear so much more time to grow. Fear starts out small, a small voice, and it rarely gets smaller when we sit still. It usually gets bigger and louder. We start imagining more worst-case scenarios. We replay more failures over and over in our minds and imaginations. We convince ourselves that tomorrow will somehow feel easier. But my friend, tomorrow often brings the very same fear, just another day of overthinking attached to it. The fourth one is that waiting keeps you living beneath your purpose. One of the biggest lies we tell ourselves is, I'll start living once. Once I lose the weight. Once I find the right relationship. Once the grief hurts less. Once the kids leave home. Once I retire. My friend, I want to tell you that your life is not waiting for you in the future, because we don't really know how much future we ever have. Your life is happening today. God has given you today, and that's all we know for sure. Not because everything is perfect, but because today still and always will have purpose. And if it were your last day, would you really want to have spent it thinking you had forever? Number 5, waiting costs you something that you'll never get back, and that is time. Time is the one resource that none of us can earn more of. And that's why ruthless intentionality matters so deeply to me. Because at the end of our lives, we don't want to be haunted by all of the things that we intended or planned or dreamed of doing. I want us to know at the end that we lived, that we loved, that we forgave, that we grew, that we took chances, that we answered God's call the very best way that we knew how. Not perfectly, but intentionally. One of my favorite reminders comes from Ecclesiastes 3:11. Yet God has made everything beautiful for its own time. He has planted eternity in the human heart. And I love this verse because it reminds us that God's timing is perfect. Always, even when we don't understand it. But trusting God's timing doesn't mean putting our lives on pause out of fear. Faith isn't passive, my friend. It isn't just something that lives within us. It's something that we have to act on and prove. Faith often looks like taking the next faithful step, even when we can't see the whole path in front of us. And so I want you to ask yourself this question today. Am I truly waiting on God? Or am I waiting for certainty that God never really promised me? Because you know what? There is a difference between the two of those. There is an absolute difference. So here's my challenge for you today. This week, I want you to sit and identify one thing, just one thing, that you've been postponing. Not because God has told you to wait, but because fear has been whispering in your ear, not yet. You're not ready. You don't have what it takes. You can't do it. So take one small step. Maybe that's sending the email, making the call, having the tough conversation, signing up, applying, beginning. My friend, the goal isn't to finish. The goal is to stop waiting. Now, you know I always have a journal prompt for you, so the journal prompt for this episode is this. What have I been telling myself I need before I can begin? And is that requirement actually true? My friend, I want you to remember this. You don't need permission to begin living the life that God has entrusted to you. You don't have to eliminate every fear before taking your very next step. You simply have to decide that waiting is costing you more than courage ever will. Because remember, ruthless intentionality isn't about having all the answers. It's about refusing to let fear quietly steal the life that you were created to live. The short, unknown longevity of your life. So until next time, keep healing, keep growing, keep rebuilding, and keep bouncing back. Well, that's it for today, my friend. I really hope this episode inspired, encouraged, or just plain comforted you. If so, please share it with a friend who might be struggling in her own healing journey. And if you take a moment to leave a quick review on Apple Podcasts, you'll help other women find encouragement through their heartbreak. Remember that God is holding your hand along this journey, and guess what? I'm holding the other. Life is short, so bounce back, Black woman.